Amateur fights. We're having amateur titles, I'm assuming.
Okay, hold on. Shake. Not
One thing at a
questions at one time. All right, so again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, everybody that showed up tonight. Like Mr. Graham said, this is SFL 32 coming up next weekend. We're 8 days out. It's our first Pro-Am. It's a big step, stepping into this realm. So right now we're on track this year for 5 events. Next weekend we're going to kick off the Pro-Am, first event for 2018. The evening before, we're going to go ahead and wrap up all the 2017 SFL awards at the Freedom Gala. And you asked me a lot of questions.
Okay, how many bouts for, well, let's just start with this event itself. SFL 32, it's a Pro-Am. We're going to be having professional bouts as well as amateur bouts. How many bouts are we looking at in total?
Okay, so right now, I mean, the fight card fluctuates every single day. I know there's a couple of fighters that are here that are still waiting on, staring right at you. I know, I got you. We're still working it, trust me. Fight card changes by the day, but expect to show up early that night. Expect fights to start early. I will say right now we've got 5 pro fights that are officially locked in. We had dropped one of the fights yesterday. We've got 4 title fights, so those are definitely happening. We've got a lot of undercard bout fights. We've got some really good undercard amateur bouts that are going to happen. So if you're coming out to the event, I would tell your people to show up early. It's cold. We're going to try to open the doors early. We're dealing with 2 sanctioning bodies. It's a little bit different than the previous events. We worked with GCA since SFL 1. This time we're going to have DPOR, the Virginia State Athletic Commission there, and we're also going to have GCA. So 2 different sanctioning bodies. You know, one's going to handle all the amateur stuff, one's handling all the pro stuff. I'll be heading back up to Richmond this week to finalize some paperwork, work on the timeline stuff. But again, be there early and make sure that all your prerequisite stuff that you need to compete has been submitted.
Yeah, and like you said, now we're dealing with 2 different sanctioning bodies. We've been used to dealing with the GCA since SFL 1. Now the Virginia Department of Professional Occupation or Boxing and Wrestling, DPOR, I don't know their acronym, they're sanctioning this event as well. How is this going to change, or is it going to change anything for the amateurs? Because obviously the rules are a little bit different between the professional and the amateur side. Is this going to change anything for the amateurs?
I mean, for the amateur fighters, it's going to be just like every other show. The big thing is just showing up early, getting checked in, having all the stuff that you need. On the amateur side of the house, the only stuff that you need to have your blood work. It's your, what do they call it? The blood trio or something like that. The 3 types of, the what?
Fighters Trio.
Fighters Trio, there we go from the peanut gallery. Appreciate that. So the Fighters Trio, you need your blood work, you need your pre-fight physical. Those are good for 180 days, and then you need to have your membership for GCA. It's a calendar year thing, so unless you fought for GCA since the 1st of January, you need to re-sign up. That's a $25 fee for fighters on the amateur side, and for corners it's $15. That's how it's going to work on the amateur side of the house. Nothing different. On the pro side of the house, it's going to be a little bit different. One, the fee that they have to pay is $40 to DPOR. They're expecting that no later than noon the day before the fight. So if you haven't submitted that, which right now, as per the email I just got from Dave Holland 2 hours ago, nobody's submitted it yet. So get that submitted, it's a $40 fee. If you don't pay it by Thursday the 25th at noon, it shoots up to $75. So don't wait till the last minute, it's going to cost you more money. Also, for your corners, it's also $40 for the fee, vice the GCA's $15. So I'm sitting here staring at Thomas Blair, and I know his coach has 1 amateur fighter on the card, and then he's also got a pro fighter. So because we've got 2 sanctioning bodies, his coach is going to have to pay the GCA $15 corner fee in order to corner that fight under GCA for the amateur. Then he's going to have to pay the $40 fee to do the pro side. So get a chance to talk to your coach, Thomas, give him a heads up, and he should probably submit the other form early to save a couple of dollars.
Okay.
Does that answer it?
That answers the question pretty well. The weigh-ins. Normally we have the weigh-ins the day before. Where and when are the official weigh-ins going to be conducted for the pros and the amateurs? Are they going to be at the same time, at different times? And can they weigh in earlier or later than the prescribed times?
All right, so good question. As far as weigh-ins are concerned, for amateur fighters, it's going to be 5 to 7. GCA gives us 2 hours. It'll be at the Crown Plaza in Town Center. DPOR, State Athletic Commission, is only allowing 1 hour. So for the pros, we're going to cut it right in the middle, 5:30 to 6:30 for the pros. I'll be at the Crown Plaza pretty much all day. I'll have all my paperwork there. I'd say show up early, fill out your paperwork. As soon as GCA is there and they're ready to go for the amateurs, you can step on the scales. Once they've cleared you, you can start eating and drinking. For the pros, the same deal. Get there, get all your paperwork filled out. I'm hoping that D-Port shows up early and not late. You know, this way, if they get there early, maybe they'll let you step on the scales. As soon as they've cleared you, same deal, you can start eating and drinking. So from there at 6:30, we're going to start doing fighter individual interviews. For this event, it's a formal event. So if you show up in, you know, sweats and stuff like that, you can come in there, you can weigh in, and then that's it. Like, we're not going to interview you in sweats and all that stuff. Mr. Shane Graham's going to be dressed up. Last year he rocked a tux. I'm pretty sure he's doing the same thing. So it doesn't look good when my guys are in suits and tuxedos and they're interviewing somebody in sweatpants. That's not this event. So you don't have to stick around for any of the press conference stuff. If you stick around, you need to change clothes. You need to be in the proper attire because we're going to go from the press conference across the hall. We've got the Freedom Gala scheduled that night. It's our second annual event. We've got Congressman Scott Taylor. He was one of our Warriors of the Day a couple of years ago. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he's the Virginia 2nd District Congressman as the guest speaker. So we've got some VIPs in the house. They're going to be dressed up, and we're expecting everybody that's going to get on camera and film to look the same.
Absolutely. Okay, so you pretty much answered that question as to what we can expect at the upcoming Freedom Gala. What is expected of the attendees? Obviously, formal wear is the attire. Dress your best, dress to impress. And at this Freedom Gala, we're also going to be doing our end-of-year awards. So talk to us a little bit about the end-of-year awards. How are the candidates nominated to begin with? And how are the overall winners of our end-of-the-year awards determined?
Good question, Shane. Good question. So, a lot of people think I make all the decisions for Spartica. You know, I just decide, hey, this guy's going to be this person's going to win that. It's not the way it works. Every event that we do, I allow all the staff people that are sitting cage side, whether it's timekeepers, judges, to put in their inputs. Who do you think was fighter of the night? Who do you think had the fight of the night? If there's a knockout, it has to be recorded as a knockout. If you had a knockout, GCA recorded as a TKO, that's outside of my realm. Nothing I can do about that. You need to talk to them ahead of time. We post all the results on our website within days of the event. So if you're not keeping up with that stuff, you're not keeping up with your record, you can't come running to me at the end of the year wondering why you're not submitted for a certain event. So this year, we did 5 events. We only had 2 knockouts. They both happened to be on the same card. And one of the people got voted for Fight of the Night. That doesn't mean that they win Fight of the Year because all the nightly awards are picked by the staff and the people that are sitting cage side watching the fights. I'm running around 90% of the time, so I'm not catching the fights. I don't really vote on the nightly awards. For the yearly awards, we take the people that the staff said, hey, this person had the best fight of the night, best submission of the night. We allow the fans to then vote. So in the case of the knockout where we had only 2 knockouts, they were on the same card. One person got voted as knockout of the night. It doesn't essentially mean he's going to win knockout of the year because if the other person could get more people to vote, he could end up winning knockout of the year. Augie, keep it down back there, Augie. We're on Facebook Live.
I'm sorry, I'm in town and everyone's
for those,
keep it down.
And so how do people go about voting for their pick for the end of the year awards?
All right, so we've been posting videos. We've got the candidates that we've got running right now are the different award categories: the submission of the night, knockout of the night, fighter of the night, fight of the night. Those are kind of the 4. Maybe we'll grow it next year. We'll take inputs from the crowd at some point. You can email me. We're posting videos online. You can watch the video. It has the event that person was nominated for fight of the night. It's got a small clip of their fight. You can email me directly, Facebook it, whatever else. Give me the information. I've got a tally sheet kind of going, and then we're recording all the votes pretty much that.
And so that people can find this on the official Spartica Fight League Facebook presence and the official Spartica Fight League YouTube presence, correct?
Yep. Anything Spartica Fight League or Spartica, if you can email it to me, text it to me, don't phone call it to me, but any other way besides calling me, shoot the information over. I've had a lot of... Killing me, shit. All right. I've had a lot of text messages and emails come through. A lot of people are hyped up about this. We gave out some pretty cool awards last year. So again, I just want to say, you know, I'm always going to get flack. It doesn't matter who wins. Everybody thinks that they should have won. Just understand, I don't pick everybody. That's not the way it works. Nightly awards get picked by the staff. And then the yearly awards are going to get picked by the fans, family. If you're the most popular person on the block, you're probably going to win. I don't know. This just seems fair. One more caveat to that. So, one of the coaches, he started campaigning for his guy. I get it. You're obviously going to campaign for your guy. You obviously want to support your guy. Understand that these awards are not the MMA of the Year awards. All right? As much as I love all the fighters that compete for me, if you fought for me one time and then you did all this other great stuff last year, that's great. But that doesn't make you the Spartan. If you got a great submission at another promotion, you're not going to win submission of the year for me. It doesn't work like that. The fans and the people that are coming out, the people that come out to our events to support and see fighters, when they start seeing repeat faces, they see great performances, they remember those people. It's kind of hard to make somebody a fighter of the year if all their accolades are for competing on all these other promotions. That's great for you. Maybe you win MMA Fighter of the Year, but when we're looking at stuff like Fighter of the Year, we're looking at Spartacus Fighter of the Year. The way you kind of win that is, some of the stuff we look at is people that win titles, defending titles, the amount of times that you competed for us within that year. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking at. Because when we name somebody as Fighter of the Year, we like people at Spartacus Fight League, the fans that come out to the shows, actually know who we're talking about, because they made enough presence, whether it was 2017, 2018, for people to be like, yeah, I know who that guy is, or girl. We came out, we seen them. So, no disrespect to any of those people that fight on other promotions, especially with amateur fighters. You can fight wherever you want. But at the same time, when we're voting for stuff like Fighter of the Year, we're looking for people that actually competed for Spartacus. You're not going to win Fighter of the Year competing elsewhere.
Okay, and kind of along those lines, but toning it down a notch, with all of your past fights, a lot of times we see the fight promotion posters, where you have two fighters up there that announce their fights. A lot of times, obviously, we have more fights in the card than you put out with the posters. So for the fighters that want to have, priority to help market themselves, how would they go about getting themselves on a fight poster? What are the criteria? I mean, what really delineates a fighter that gets on a fight poster? How would they go about doing that and further marketing themselves?
All right, so normally for the fight posters, the way it works, if you're fighting for a title shot, we're going to do a poster. All the pro fights, we did a poster. A lot of the #1 contender bouts, we did a poster. The thing is, the fight card changes so much, there's absolutely no way that I can keep up with doing, an event poster for every single bout. Right now, I don't even want to say how many fights we got. We've got a lot. And the fight card changes so much that I'd end up going broke. If every time a fight dropped off the card, or every time a fighter switched out, I would constantly spend all my time trying to redo a fight poster for everybody. So all I'll say is, support the brand, we'll support you. It's a two-way street. If you're coming out to Spartacus, we're seeing you continuously. You're fighting for the brand. You're working your way towards a title shot. You're constantly coming out. You're promoting it. If you get a cool knockout, if you're doing anything outside the box that brings attention to you, or you're fighting a name that's been around for a while, it's probably going to get you on a poster. If you're an 0-0 or you're an independent, this is your first time ever competing, and you're blowing up my inbox wondering how come you're not on Tapology and how come this and how come that. Come on, man. Independence and stuff like that. I mean, I lose more of those than just stick with the brand. We'll stick with you. That's all.
Okay, and speaking of that, official fight footage. How and where can people rewatch past events and from an official source? And what are the official Spartacus Fight League sources for online content? For fights, material. I mean, there's a lot of stuff floating out there on Facebook. You have fan videos. And that does kind of, promote a lot of confusion. Official sources is to say, okay, this is Spartacus sanctioned. Where can people go to officially find official Spartacus content?
All right, so we're still working on some of the admin and still trying to get some of these previous fights uploaded. For a while, we had Naoma. For people that have been around long enough, Naoma used to sit cage side. She'd record it. She gives up her Saturday night. Has the kids at the babysitter, donates her time, comes out there, records it, posts it the next day. So she was gone for a couple of years. We kind of lost that. We had a company that we were working with. It just got really expensive having them do it. So we've been kind of bouncing around. We're getting there. Apologize that all the fights aren't up there. It's an administrative thing. We're working it. It'll happen. Just know that we've never gone out of our way to delete a fight. I've seen some stuff like that floating around Facebook. Oh, this happened, and they won't post that fight. Well, for the person that said that, go back to that event. Try to find any single fight from that event on YouTube. It's not there. Are we going to get this stuff updated? We will. Just kind of bear with us. A lot of people think the Spartica brand is a lot bigger than it really is. We've got some great volunteer help. But really, there's one person in the company that handles about 99% of the administrative stuff. There's a huge cost that comes with getting all the videos and all that stuff online. Naoma will be at this event. She will be cage-side. We will be getting it recorded. You can go to Fight TV. You can pay to rewatch some of your old events. Outside of that, understand when you're coming out of the locker room, you can't be doing Facebook Live, Instagram Live. You can't have your coaches, your corners while you're fighting, sitting there recording it. If we catch you doing that stuff cage side, you're going to be thrown out of the event. No questions asked.
Okay, that's about the only question that I have for you. I hope it answered a lot of questions for our fighters, our fans, people looking to attend this event and future Spartica events. Did you have anything you want to close us out with?
Sure. All right. So just to recap, again, this is our last press conference. I want to thank everybody that came out, everybody that viewed in. Next week, we're 1 week out. 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, we're doing amateur weigh-ins. GCA is going to do that. It's going to run just like it normally does. Crown Plaza, Town Center. The email's been sent out. Again, ensure your blood work, your physical, and for GCA, they'll require payment for their calendar membership on fight day. All right, so for the pros, 5:30 to 6:30. We've only got an hour. D4 runs things a little bit differently. I know GCA goes above and beyond. There's times where GCA has allowed people to show up in the middle of the night, weigh-ins here, weigh-ins there. D4 is giving you 1 hour, 5:30 to 6:30 to weigh in. Outside of that, I think it's on fight day. So if you're cutting weight, make sure you're there. Show up early, fill out your paperwork, be standing by. So as soon as they say step on the scales, you can step on the scales. Once you've weighed in, once you've been cleared, you're good to go. You're able to eat, you're able to drink, you're able to do whatever you want to do. Get changed out, get in formal attire. Starting at 6:30, we'll do individual interviews. Once we start getting enough fighters to show up, we'll start sitting fighters down. We'll get some pictures. We want people in formal attire. What does formal attire mean? That means jacket, tie. Doesn't mean shirt and tie. Doesn't mean nice sweater. It's a nice sweater, Thomas Blair. But what we're looking for is jacket and tie. For women, I guess it's dress or cocktail dress or formal dress. I don't know. I don't want to misspeak.
Gown,
Whatever. If you're wearing some kind of dress, you know, look at pictures from last year for the most part, but it's a formal event. We've got a congressman as a guest speaker. You need to look the part. You're not getting in. All right, so 7:30 we open the doors for the Freedom Gala directly across the hall. You need an RSVP for that. That's not a free-for-all. You're not sitting here paying for all these people to come out and get a free meal. It only seats 200. We were at capacity last year. A couple of people hit me up about buying tickets. It's $40 a ticket. We don't see any of that money. It's about $29 for the food, 20% gratuity, all the taxes. It comes out to around $41. We rounded it down to 40. It was a nice even number. So if you haven't RSVP, if you haven't got a ticket, ensure you RSVP and or get a ticket. Don't make it embarrassing by just showing up, not being on the list, and not getting in. All right, because you're not going to get in. That's just how that works. That's going to be fight night. The next day, 3 p.m., we're looking for the amateur fighters. We'll work things out with the pros. With the amateur fighters, one of the things that we've done in the past is when you get done fighting, you get a wristband to go back in the locker room. That's not how it's not going to work like that this time. When you get done fighting, you will not get another wristband. That doesn't mean you can't go back to the locker room and get your stuff. What that means is you can't be the first fight of the night and spend the next 4 hours hanging out in the locker room. It's not going to work like that. The State Athletic Commission will not allow that to happen. So don't get shocked and offended on fight day. Once you take your gloves off and you get to keep those gloves, all right, you don't get another wristband. You'll be allowed to get your stuff in the back, but you're not making 10, 20 trips throughout the night coming back and forth. It's not going to work like that. So plan accordingly. Get done with your fight. Get cleaned up. Get showered up. D4 doesn't allow a whole crew of people walking out together. I mean, it's different rules. It's the State Athletic Commission in the house. It's not just GCA, so we have to follow their rules. So plan accordingly, because that's the way it's going to work. What else did I miss?
That's pretty much it. I hope I answered a lot of questions.
One last thing. Don't cut me off just yet. So for the pros, there's 5 things that you need. You need your blood work just like the amateurs. You need your pre-fight physical just like the amateur. It's good for 180 days. That's for you to figure out, not for me. I don't keep up on this stuff. I tell you guys all the time in these emails, I don't want to see your medical history. We've already had an issue where there's been a couple of Hep B, Hep C cases that popped since the state started doing blood work. I think there's been one HIV thing. I don't need to see that stuff. I can't clear you. It's a conflict of interest. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that I match, you're clear. I want you to fight. That's the reason I'm doing all the trouble to get you in there to fight. If I can clear you, you're clear. It doesn't work like that. The sanctioning body has to clear you. Don't make me be the middle guy. I go out of my way to send a weekly email every week. It's very detailed. You really got to read it one time. It breaks everything down for you. It's the same stuff. If you competed for us before, it's the same stuff on the amateur side of the house. On the pro side of the house, blood work, pre-fight physical. You need an eye exam within 12 months. It's got to be dilated. You need to have your membership with D4. It's good for the calendar year. That's the $40 fee. It needs to be paid before noon, the day before weigh-ins, or you get a late fee. And you need to have a federal ID. If you're a pro fighter, you should understand what all that stuff is. GCA side of the house, just like before. Calendar year fee, $25 for fighters, $15 for the coaches and corners. You need to have your blood work, pre-fight physical. What else you got? All right, again, thank you so much, Shane Graham. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And thank you, Facebook, for tuning in. We've got a great fight card planned for next week. Show up early. Doors are going to open early. We are going to start the show early. We're going to push the tempo. We've got a lot of fights. We've got some exciting fights. They're going to go early. All right? Thank you guys so much. As always, God bless America. Home of the free because of the brave.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and fighters, if you haven't signed in here, make sure to get yourself signed in. We're going to be doing the press conference for the fighters here shortly. So fighters, you want to get up here, have some FaceTime, get yourself a little bit of talk with your opponent up there. I have some questions for you as well. So we'll
want to make sure everybody gets gloved up. We get a picture of you guys. We had an issue with Mike Phillips. I'm just going to throw him out because we're not on Facebook Live. So Mr. Phillips just came out to the last 2 press conferences. We appreciate that. Hey, keep it down, Mr. Phillips. He's came out to the last 2 press conferences. He's got a really exciting fight. We haven't been able to announce it because we don't have an updated photo to build a walkout flyer. So because of that, I'm going to call him out because this is the 3rd time here. He's going to be the first guy. What are you doing over there?
Hey, Michael Phillips.
Hey, keep it clean.
Oh, she didn't want to be part of his.
So again, we need to get updated pictures. Some of these guys, you know, you go, another perfect example, Keon Minor. Keon Minor. Right, last time he fought for us, he had the little mini dreads. So when you look at his walkout flyer, that's a picture from last year. His hair don't even look like that no more. So if you're gonna come out here, get an updated picture. This way we've got something in high quality that we can make a good walkout flyer for you. Even if you're not on this fight card, you might be on the next one. At least we'll have something on file. That's one. Number 2, get up here and talk to Shane Graham. If you're coming out, we want to get your story. Get used to talking on the mic a little bit. You don't want to wait till you get to the big show and you're getting interviewed for the first time. You get nervous. Call another guy out, Mr. Marshall Shermer. So Marshall jumps on there yesterday. He gets interviewed, gets a little nervous and everything. Here's your chance to come out here, tell your story, gain some fan bases, knock out all the cobwebs. This way when you get to that next level, you know what I'm saying, it's easy day. Questions, comments, concerns? Thank you guys again. The DJ's going to throw some music on. We'll start taking pictures. Thank you guys again for coming out.
Marshall Garrett Shermer. All right, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm up here. I'm Shane Graham. Welcome to the SFL 32 Free Fight Press Conference. I'm up here with Marshall Garrett Shermer. How you doing, Marshall? I'm doing excellent, man. So I guess that's probably my first question. Do you have a nickname as a fighter, or are you just, you know, going by your real name, Marshall Garrett Shermer? Do you have a stage name?
No stage name. I am myself.
You are yourself. Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. You're competing here on SFL 32. We've seen you at other SFL appearances before. Really looking forward to seeing where you had going. When did you first know that you wanted to compete in mixed martial arts, and how did you get into the sport to begin with?
Senior year of high school, I wrestled for the first time, and I realized I shouldn't be doing it my entire life. So pretty much after I graduated, I moved out here with Rob, my brother, and he was already into jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and we got it started.
Excellent. So what does it mean to you to be a fighter? I mean, what is your end game? What motivates you to compete? And what separates you from every other fighter in your respective division?
I just want to be respected by everybody. That's what motivates me, is respect and love and people.
Excellent. So you're scheduled to fight Jude Hamad. There's been a little bit of back and forth on Facebook for people that are following. There's been a little bit of talk. We've seen that, you've definitely kept it respectful. I kind of said, I think your words were, you're going to find out, or something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I see it, we're amateurs. He has no ambitions of going pro. My purpose is to go pro. I want to win everything. So for him to come out and say I'm not going to be a challenge to him is just ridiculous. It's ludicrous. And honestly, it's going to be funny. Everybody's going to find out.
Have you seen some of his? Have you seen some of his fight footage in the past? Have you seen? We've got some reverb going on. Okay. Have you seen any material, any of the fight footage on Jude Hamad? I don't want to talk about him too much because he's not here to defend him. But have you seen anything in his game that you're looking to expose come Saturday night?
I've seen a couple of his fights. I've watched a couple minutes of it because, watching it, I'm like, I see holes everywhere. I don't want to just disrespect the guy, but his last fight was like 2 or 3 months ago. He fought in Mix It Up, I think, Ready to Fight or whatever. And it was against a 0-0 opponent. It was for a 145-pound title belt that I could buy a WWE belt from Walmart that looks better than that. And he's really proud of himself. I'd be proud of myself too if I didn't know any better. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going for a Spartica belt. And as an amateur, that should be everybody's goal. Is to go to Spartica, get that belt, go pro, do that. So, holes in his game, yes. They will be exposed everywhere we go.
Okay, with that said, have you done anything differently in your training regimen for this opponent in this fight? And who are you training with in preparation for this upcoming bout?
So in case anybody doesn't know, 2017, I had an off year. I had some setbacks. I couldn't train for about 7 months out of the year. And then I moved up to Richmond and started training under 4th degree black belt Carlos David Oliveira. And since then, I feel like my game has improved tremendously. I just feel like it's going to be a really good night for me.
Excellent. We look forward to you competing. And the last question that I have for you, do you have anything that you want to say to your fans out there, the people that follow you? How about your haters and even your future opponents? You said you want to challenge for a Spartica belt. Do you have anything to say to them?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who supports me. And as far as the haters, you guys, you're just hating because I'm doing it right.
All right, we look forward to seeing you. Marshall Garrett Shermer, you're going to be taking on Jude Hamad, SFL 32, January 27th, 10 Constant Convocation Center. We'll see you there inside of the cage.
Hey, you're up next.
Hey, you lied. You said I
Every fighter, because of course this is part of my job. Do you have a nickname or a stage name, or are you just Mike Phillips? Mike Phillip.
I'll let the fans pick me a name. I'm just Mike Phillips.
Okay, so is that Phillip or Phillips? Okay, there's no S at the end. So just to clarify, it's Mike Phillip. Okay, and you've had a couple of lineup changes since your initial opponent was announced. Before, you didn't have a fighter. When I spoke to you last, you were kind of a wild card. As I understand now, you have an opponent, and it's a rather well-known opponent for the people that follow this part of the fight league.
Yeah, I've been kind of old. I've had 5 backouts already, so it's like every time a fight comes up, I'm just like, it's really gonna happen. But yeah, I got a big fight. Fighting a kid. I guess everyone's about to find out now. I'm fighting Kim A. He's really good. Woo! Get it on.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Phillip and Kim A. This is going to be an amazing fight. Now, you've been slated to fight Kim A, so how much do you know about Kim A, aside from the fact that he is a very, very game opponent?
I don't know too much. I've watched his video. He's decent. He's good. I'm not taking no respect from him, but I don't think he's ready.
I mean, you said you watched some of his video. Have you seen anything that you're looking to expose inside of the cage? Anything that you've done differently to prepare for this fight?
Nothing differently, because I mean, we just never know what he's going to have, so I just train the same.
And who do you train with in preparation for this fight? Do you have a specific fight camp that you train with? Is somebody that you've been with since the beginning, or somebody you've picked up recently for this fight here?
On the team X-Combat, Diego Bisbee, Harvey Racing, one time.
Excellent.
Top team in the state.
I'm not going to argue that right there. Very well-known names, Team X, Coach X. So when did you know that you first wanted to compete? And how did you get into the sport to begin with, Mike?
I don't know, I just liked it. I went to practice with Preston and John back there one day, and I was just stuck with it.
Excellent. And which style do you prefer? Do you like this? You like to stand up? You know, try to knock your opponent out? Do you like to try to take them down, submit them?
I like the ground and pound out.
Excellent. And what is your motivation and your end game to train and compete? I mean, what does it mean to you to be a fighter? And what separates Mike Phillip from all the other fighters in your division?
I don't really know the fighters in my division, to be honest with you, because they keep backing out. But I just love getting my hand raised. Like, people don't understand that 9 minutes you just put your hard work into just to get your hand raised at the end of the fight.
Okay, so let's say that you do get your hand raised January 27th at the TED Convocation Center. What's next for Mike Phillips? Do you have anybody in particular that you would like to fight?
I don't like to call people out, but we're not going to look down. We're going to be going up, because this kid's ranked number 8, so I want somebody higher next.
You definitely have a game opponent. Mike Phillip, Kim A. It's going to be going down. SFL 32, Ted Constant Convocation Center, January 27th, Ted Constant Convocation Center. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it over there.
I'm done. I told you short and sweet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Phillip! I'm joined up here on stage with Tony Militia.
How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
I think we can hear you. And if we can't hear you now, we're definitely going to hear you at inside of the cage at SFL 32. Tell us about your last 2 fights. You're definitely not a newcomer to the SFL stage. You have fought in the Spartica cage on more than one occasion. What about your last 2 fights?
Of course, they were TKOs, very dominant performance. The first one went to all 3 rounds, ended in the 3rd round. The second one was the first round with Luke Hunsaker. It was a pretty big win for me. It was ground and pound. I kind of consider that one as a knockout, but it was rooted TKO. So I'm hoping I was in the runnings for the knockout, but unfortunately not. So, but it's 218, it's a new year, so.
and I guess that kind of relates to what's going on now. You are almost opponentless. You've had several opponents back out for whatever reason. You're kind of on standby, kind of in limbo. Do you attribute that to the fact that you were such a dominant fighter?
Well, that, and a lot of people in the sport, they want easy fights. A lot of people don't want to test themselves. They want to not, venture out into the MMA world. You really have to test yourself in the sport, because it's a hard sport. It's a tough sport. You got to train hard, fight easy, but that's the hard part, the training part. Then when you get in the cage, you dominate, do what you do. You never want to ever underestimate your opponent, but a lot of people do. So me, I want all hard fights this year, and then I want to make that pro transition to going pro, and probably the end of the summer, the end of this year, to make my pro step. So yeah, just send them at me, and I'm ready. I'm on weight, 145 takeover for 2018. Step it up. I'm ready for anybody.
Yeah, so I guess along those lines, you've fought in the Spartica cage several times. You're coming off of 2 dominant performances. What would you say your most memorable fight in Spartica is to date?
That was my second fight. It was a referee stoppage TKO. Was Gerald Anthony Stewart. That was my second fight. For the little experience and little knowledge that I had, going up against a guy 6-0, I believe, and I dominated ground and pound. It's on YouTube. You can see it. You can look it up. Type my name in, all the fights will pop up and stuff like that.
So is there anybody in particular that you're looking to compete with? I hate to sound like a broken record, but you've had a lot of people pull out of the fights. you know, to compete with you. Is there anybody in particular that you're looking to test yourself against?
I want that title. I want that 145 title, just like my boy Shermer right here wanted too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hungry just like him. You know what I mean? And we all hungry, so we gotta test ourselves. I mean,
I got first.
you know what I'm saying? He's first. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to be in line behind it. You know, I don't really have a set person that I want to challenge, but if they're good, then I mean I'm all for the challenge. Take it. I never back down in any Spartan fights. Jimmy will tell you, I'm always there whether I lose, whether I win. I haven't had any bad losses. I've never been knocked out. I've been submitted, but never been knocked out, and because it's going to be kind of hard for me to be knocked out. A dominant stand-up fighter and what I am. So, yeah, maybe that's why a lot of people second guess, I don't want to take him because, you know, you got to work on your striking, of course, because that's how you start your fight out, and then it goes to the ground, whether you change levels and stuff like that.
So is 2018 the year that we're going to see Tony Militia make the transition to pro? I mean, you're going to get a couple more amateur fights under your belt and then decide to make the transition to pro?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 amateur fights, dominant ones, possibly get a belt, then do a defense title, and then make the transition.
Hey, we're looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully we're going to be seeing you compete this upcoming Saturday, not tomorrow Saturday, but the following Saturday, January 27th, SFL 32 Pro-Am, Ted Constant Convocation Center. We're joined here by Tony Militia!
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, everybody.
Live with Allister, the Ambition Patterson. How you doing, Allister?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. And see, you actually even spoken to the mic. That was one thing we were having to, you know.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody can hear me.
We give you brownie points for that. Okay, so Allister, I understand that you're kind of in limbo as well. First off, tell the fighters, what weight class do you fight in? What weight class are you competing in?
I fight at 155.
You're fighting at 155, and it appears that you've had, you know, some opponents that have fallen through. You're kind of on standby. We're really hoping for you, you know, looking forward to seeing you on the card. So tell us about, you know, your training regimen. What does it mean to you to be a fighter? What is your end game to compete? What does it mean to you to step inside of that cage and compete?
I don't wake up from my alarm clock. I wake up from my passion. You know, so I wake up, go to work. As soon as I go to work, I get off, hit the gym. I'm in there for about 3 to 4 hours, 6 days a week, grinding.
So it sounds like you're really dedicated, and this is just on the amateur circuit. A lot of people, you know, I would venture to say, I even hear some pro fighters that have a schedule like that as well. You're just on the amateur side right now, to be, you know, being that driven, that motivated to compete. You know, do you have a mentor or inspiration that you look up to? Kind of somebody that motivates you to perform to the next level?
No, I just want to be the best I could be. You know, I want to be successful. That's my ultimate goal. I just love to fight. So and to be the best, I gotta make sure that I put all into it, because if I go out there and I don't train, then I'm gonna get my butt whooped. And I refuse to go out there and lose in front of all my friends. So I'm gonna make sure I do everything in my power so I can win.
That's what I'm talking about. So SFL 32, this is going to be the largest SFL card to date. You have a chance at fighting on this. Has this motivated you to train any differently for this fight? And who are you training with in this upcoming fight?
Well, I train at Diego Bisbee Academy and 757 boxing. I was living in Chesapeake, and then to get to practice, I would bike 26 miles just to get to practice.
In the cold. We're doing it in the snow though.
And then recently I just moved in with my Muay Thai coach, which is awesome. And then so I've just been continuing to train regularly.
Who is it?
And Harvey Grassi, amazing Muay Thai coach. And another thing that drives me, I'm not just training for the Sparta belt, even though it looks nice. I'm training for a world title.
Okay, so let's say that we finally do find you an opponent. You get in there in the cage January 27th, and you hear me roaring your name as the winner of this fight. What's next for Allister Patterson? Do you have anybody in particular that you'd like to call out or fight? Anybody on your radar that, you know, you're looking to test yourself against?
Not really.
when I first started, I liked to call out people, but I know that I'm game. I know I'm a fighter. So anyone that wants to fight me, they can come fight me. My coaches, they say, yeah, go ahead. My coach is the one that set the fights. I just train hard because they ain't ready for me.
Excellent. And Allister, Patterson, you said your end game is not just a Spartica title, but a world title.
Yes.
Okay, so does that mean, do you foresee yourself making that transition from the amateur circuit up into the pro circuit in the year of 2018? Or do you have a timeline or something that you're trying to test yourself, and any goals that you're setting to get yourself to be prepared for that world title shot?
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about right now. When the time comes, it'll come. I just need to make sure that I just keep on doing what I'm doing, stay focused, stay humble, and do what I need to do.
Well, excellent. We look forward to hopefully seeing you inside of the Cage SFL 32, January 27th, Ted Constant Convocation Center. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Allister, the Ambition Patterson.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Heavyweight contender Tyler McCormick. How you doing there, Tyler?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing excellent, man. So, this is obviously not your first foray inside of the Spartica cage. Tell us a little bit about, your earlier times inside of the Spartica cage, what happened, and what it's like to be back on the biggest Spartica fight card to date.
As I remember, they were great. Loved it. Just too many setbacks. Got married. Had a kid 3 months ago. My wife motivated me to get back into it, so I feel like I'm ready to get back in there and do some damage.
Well, congratulations on the wife and the kid. That's a monumentous accomplishment. Life happens, and it's always amazing to hear that. And it's also great to see you back here inside of the Spartica cage. You're going to be fighting a very tough opponent in Mark Sleepy Johnson. Now, what are your thoughts on Mr. Johnson? I mean, have you watched any fight footage of him? Do you know much about him? Have you seen anything? Do you see any holes in his game that you're looking to expose January 27th?
Yeah, I watched a couple minutes on his fights. And, I think he's a great fighter. I got a lot of respect for him. I mean, everyone has holes in their game. I mean, that's what we got to do. 6 months ago was his last fight. I'm pretty sure he's cleaned them up a little bit. So I don't want to go out there and expect to win that way. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you say that you've taken a couple of years off. You had to do the family thing, get yourself established. What is your motivation, your end game to train and compete? And what does it mean to you to be a fighter?
It means everything to be a fighter. I've been a fighter for everything my whole life. It came easy to me. Just train when I can. Sometimes it's kind of hard, but my wife and my child motivates me the most. To try to provide for them and just give them everything I can.
Excellent. So and coming off of this time off, have you done anything differently to prepare for this opponent in this fight? And who are you training with in preparations for this fight with Mark Johnson?
Less than 4 years in high school. I took time off really to kind of on my striking. I trained with William Bailey 3 days a week. He's an ex-professional boxer, getting my hands ready. But I feel ready. I feel ready for everything that's going to come this year.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you. So, say that you're victorious January 27th. What's next for Tyler McCormick? Do you plan to continue competing? Are you going to take a little bit more time off? What's next? I mean, what is your end game to compete?
I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna do every card this year for Spartica, and hopefully in 2 fights, get a contenders fight for the titles.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you there inside of the cage heavyweight division. This one's going to be a barn burner, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler McCormick and Mark Sleepy Johnson. I'm doing awesome, man. Doing awesome. Looking forward to seeing you mixed up inside of the cage. Tell us who you're fighting and what weight class. Well, first off, what weight class are you fighting in, and who are you slated to fight?
Lightweight, so 55, and
The guy's name is Janitor. He's out of Maryland.
Okay, so this kid is out of Maryland. Have you seen any of the footage on this fighter? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you know much about him other than the facts that he's a 155er and he's out of Maryland?
Yeah, he's 2-0 with 2 knockouts. He's a southpaw. He's good on his feet. So.
Okay, so what does that mean for you with your end game? I mean, have you done anything differently to train for this? You know he's a stand-up artist. Are you looking to stand up with him, or are you looking to take it to the ground and pound him out?
I mean, I'm always looking to stand and fight, but, you know, after the first exchange, I don't get that. They always want to grapple, so I'm just expecting him to be the same as the last 4.
Okay, I mean, have you done anything differently to prepare for this fight? And who are you training with to prepare yourself for this game opponent?
I've done a lot differently. I changed camps completely. I was training at Impact Martial Arts, and I switched over. I train with Diego now. There's a lot of beast teammates, so I've changed up a lot of the intensity and the amount of training. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and this is arguably the largest Spartica fight card to date. You've been on previous Spartica Fight League cards. What is your most memorable fight up until this point?
Probably my win over DeMar Holloway, just because he's a well-known guy. And like I said, I went out there expecting for him to stand and fight with me. I got one exchange out of him, and then he was shooting, trying to wrestle. So, you know, making a striker want to wrestle me just proves that I'm legit on my feet. And you'll find out if Burrs wants to stand and fight.
And that seems to be kind of a common catchphrase between you and your brother. You'll find out. So who trademarked that? Was that you or him?
I'll give it to him, because he was the one on the video saying, you know, Drew will find out. You know, I feel like neither one of us have gotten a chance to really display our talents in there. So, you know, y'all have a lot to find out from us.
Absolutely. So when we do find out on January 27th, what's next for Rob Shermer?
I mean, I'm hoping to get in there for the belt. You know, Bucksock is running down to 45. I was supposed to fight him before, and you know, he's not trying to fight me now. He's trying to say Coach X said I wasn't ready for a title fight and all this other crap. Like, that's nonsense. Like, we were slated to fight before, and my coach picked Will Worley over you. Like, man up and defend your belt. I mean, I just want the title. That's all I care about. Just having that belt wrapped around me and defending it. That's it.
Excellent. Well, one fight at a time. We look forward to watching you compete January 27th, Ted Convocation Center. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Shermer!
Running both divisions. Everybody running.
All right, Blair, you want to be next?
Come on, Mr. Blair. Hey, are you briefing me?
No introduction. He is our inaugural SFL Hall of Fame inductee. You were the 145-pound champion? As an amateur, 135?
135 and 145.
135 and 145. You held a title in 2 different weight divisions as an amateur. You have since gone professional. Now we're going to be seeing you compete on the very first SFL Pro card. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thomas Handsome Blair! So Thomas, you've had a wildly successful amateur career. Like I said, you had the 135 and the 145 amateur belts for Spartica. You've amassed a 3-0 record as a professional, and you've also got a pretty tough opponent that's called you out for this upcoming fight. Tell us a little bit about that.
So now you at?
Hey, nobody's ever called me out. I'm a pretty low-key guy. I just kind of go in there and fight. My last fight happened. I won. I hadn't even got back home yet, and I seen he was talking on Facebook. I don't let that just go. So he wanted to fight. Fight's what he's gonna get.
So have you seen any fight footage on Alexander Olave? That is your opponent, by the way, Alexander Olave. Have you seen any fight footage on him? I mean, any sort of holes in the game that you're looking to expose? Or are you just gonna go out there and be handsome and do what you do?
Yeah, I'm always handsome, so I'm gonna just go out there and do that. So. I've watched him fight before. I know he's coming down. He's competed at some higher weight classes. I think as an amateur, he competed at 170, 155. But
As you guys know, I don't shy away from the bigger guys. If they want to fight, they can fight.
Excellent. And you I keep reiterating the fact that you have such an illustrious career on the amateur side of Spartica. You had 3 professional fights. Out of all those fights, looking back, what would you say would be your most memorable fight inside of the Spartica cage?
In the Spartica cage, probably my fight versus Reggie Barnett. That one got Fight of the Year. It was a tough fight for me. Reggie was one of the guys that I looked up to fighting. I never thought that we would be fighting, but sure enough, we kind of met, and it was a fun fight.
Excellent. Okay, and have you done anything differently for training for this fight, or is it just another day at the office for Thomas Blair?
Just my mental game's just been a lot better. I feel real good during this camp. I've been trying to figure out, how to just figuring out this pro side of things. When I started as an amateur, I started off a little slow. It wasn't until after a couple of fights I started to get my finishes and I started to find my stride. I'm starting to feel like I'm finding it now as a professional, so I think you guys are going to see a good performance come next Saturday.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to seeing you there inside the cage. Final question, say that I'm announcing your name as the winner. What's next for Thomas Blair? Is there anybody in particular that you'd like to challenge yourself with, or are you just going to take it as it comes?
When you say my name as the winner?
When I announce, and the winner by this method.
After I win this fight, I'll continue. Yeah, you gotta put some respect on my name. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna roar your name.
Yeah, not like Katy Perry though. But yeah, I'm gonna just continue to keep fighting. I'm not supposed to be at this weight class. I'm not supposed to have this type of success. Eventually, I do plan on going back down to 135, but I know a lot of people want to fight me now. I'm this guy, this 135er, being successful at 145. It's not supposed to happen. A small guy at that. I'll just finish this year out at 145. We'll see how it goes, and then I'll go back to where I'm supposed to be at 135, and then I'll just keep taking fights there and keep putting on performances there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to watching you compete inside the Spartica cage as a professional. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Handsome Blair! Samson, the Flying Saucer! And people are already calling out champ now. You've had one fight inside of the Spartica cage. You won in an amazingly dominant fashion. You're fighting a very game opponent in Qasim Ruffin. Give us your thoughts on this fight and your opponent.
I took the fight because I thought it was seemed like the biggest fight I could get after my first fight. And he's fought for a title before, so I feel like if I win in a very dominant fashion, I think that puts me in line for a title shot.
Okay, yeah, you're still relatively young in the mixed martial arts game. You've had an amazing wrestling career for people that have followed you on Facebook land. Your father, obviously a very well-renowned black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You've got a lot of people in your corner. And what is your motivation in your end game to compete?
One day I want to make it to the UFC. My goal is to be able to make a living off of fighting, and I feel like I'm on the right path to do that.
Excellent. So you dominate. So let's just say that you dominate and you end up with your hand raised on January 27th. What's next for Samson the Flying Saucer?
The winner of Corey Champion and Ahmad Hicks.
Definitely looking forward to challenge. So have you done anything differently to train for Qasim Ruffin?
Nah, I'm still training the same way I train. I'm worried about myself, not Qasim.
Excellent. And last question that I have for you, who do you look up to in the sport of mixed martial arts? I mean, do you have a mentor or somebody that you look up to, that you aspire to be? Or are you trying to be the person that people look up to?
I'm trying to be the person people look up to. I know this is really whatever it is, but I like Conor McGregor. I like what he's done for the sport. He's exciting. Every fight he has is fun to watch.
Samson, don't lie!
I look up to Mitch Aguiar.
Aguiar, 2 words. Aguiar.
Aguiar.
Well, we look forward to seeing you side of the cage fighting at Caution, Kasum Ruffin, and Samson.
Didn't show up.
Hey, but I'm sure we're going to see more of this continuation on Facebook. You guys have had a little bit of a heated exchange. You're going to get to settle your differences inside of the cage January 27th, SFL 32 at the Ted Constant Convocation Center. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Samson, the Flying Saucer! All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about here.
Hold on. All right, now I'm ready.
Action. Girls, you need to act like you're...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, sitting up here with our main event of the evening, to my left, Brandon, the Janitor Pennington out of 757 Boxing. To my right, Smashin' Frog, Mitch Aguiar, fighting out of Black House MMA. This fight will be contested at 170 pounds, the welterweight division, a professional fight for both of our fighters. I'm going to start out with you, Brandon. Brandon, this is going to be your 5th time inside of the SFL cage. You first competed with us in SFL 7 as an amateur. What does it mean for you to come back as a professional, coming back home to the Spartica cage to fight a highly touted name as Mitch Aguiar?
Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot. I'm happy to be back home at the Ted Constant Center at the, Spartica. I grew up fighting on the show. I fought pretty much back in the Wild West days of MMA in Virginia when you weren't able to fight. When they were able to let people fight under the age of 18, they don't let people fight under the age of 18 anymore. My mom used to sign for me to fight. That's how I met Jimmy, and it's been a long journey ever since. Again, that was 8 years ago. And now I'm here. I'm excited to be here. I'm really blessed to be a part of the main event, and I'm ready for everything coming. I have a tough opponent sitting to my right, and very excited to be in there with him.
He's so nice.
And Mitch, this is your 12th time stepping inside of the Spartica cage. We first saw you compete back at SFL 10. You've had an amazing amateur career. What can we say about Mitch that hasn't been said? You're the 2015 Fighter of the Year, a prospective Hall of Famer, a 4-time middleweight champion, an undefeated welterweight champion. What does it mean to step inside of the Spartica cage as a professional this time and take on a big name like Brandon Pennington?
It feels cool. This is going to be my pro debut. I would have went pro a while ago, but because of my job in the military, I couldn't do that. So my time in the military came to an end 2 weeks ago, and I'm ready to take on this new chapter of fighting pro. And I've got my my goal set on the UFC. So this has been my platform my whole amateur career. I think Jimmy does an excellent job. I've been all over the world, all over the country, and seen, professional venues, amateur venues, and none of them even come close to the level of production that Spartica is. So, except the UFC and Bellator, which says a lot. So, I've been very blessed to be fighting on the stage, Brandon as well. Every one of the fighters who have been coming up through this league, we really are lucky. And so I wouldn't want to make my pro debut anywhere else but Spartica. So I'm happy to do that. And then after this, I'm signing a 3-fight deal with Legacy Fighting Alliance. And hopefully after that, hopefully those go good and go for the UFC. And hopefully I'll see some Spartica veterans there as well.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing that fight. Brandon Pennington, the last time that we saw you inside of the Spartica cage, you were the 155-pound champion. You retired in your amateur career as the lightweight champion. You've since made the step up to 170, the welterweight division. What made you step up in weight instead of staying back at 155 pounds?
Well, a lot of people don't know. I walk around close to probably about 195. I'm walking around in the 190s naturally. So cutting the 155 was really tough for me. I could still make 155. So I don't really know what the future holds for me after this fight. But I heard Mitch was going pro. It was a really viable fight. You got 2 former SFL champions, both pretty good local names here. And I think it was a fight that people wanted to see. So I came up and wait for this fight, and I think I hope people like it.
And you were you were adamant about getting this fight, although you were very respectful. I mean, you always go out on your shield, win, lose, or draw. You worked really hard to get to this fight with Mitch. You remained very respectful. Stepping back inside of the Spartacus cage, do you foresee yourself being a world champion one day?
You know, I'd love to be a world champion. You know, but I used to train and I always had the mindset of wanting to be a world champion. And actually, for me,
Mindset is everything.
Oh, Jesus. It made it harder for me, honestly, to, I guess you could say, stay the course. So for me, I just love to fight. You know, I'm blessed to do what I love to do. And as long as I get to do what I love to do and I'm happy doing it and I'm getting better every day as a man, person, martial artist, then I'm happy. That's it.
Excellent. So, Mitch, I'm going to go back to you. You said you're going to be looking at a 3-fight contract with LFA after this. You've competed, you know, the entire time that you said you competed as a mixed martial artist, you were also active duty Navy. You were the elite of the elite in the Navy. You're the elite of the elite inside of the cage. I mean, what does this mean now that you have more time to train in mixed martial arts? Is mixed martial arts going to be your focus now? Is that your next goal? Are you looking to one day be a world champion?
You know, my attention span is not very good. I have ADD, and I have a ton of hobbies and interests and everything like that. So, you know, now that I've been out of the Navy, I've been painting a lot and getting my Frog Ross on, and I've got a bunch of different hobbies that I'm into. I want to say that I'll train more, but I don't know if I will. And I just fight because I enjoy fighting. I honestly hate everything about MMA except the actual fight. I hate these press conferences. I hate cutting weight. I like food. You know, I don't like training all that much, really. I just really enjoy the one-on-one competition. So that's what I like about you know, class is sparring. That's what I like about jiu-jitsu is rolling. That's what I like about MMA is the actual fight. Like I said, I wish we could just fight right now and get it over with. Like, you know, and then fight everyone. I don't care. I don't like that I have to wait so long to fight somebody. AJ, I'll smack that kid right now. But I mean, I want to fight everybody. I love the combat side of it. I love the warrior side of it. You know, I really feel like I was born in the wrong era. I would have loved to just been a gladiator and just, you know, I'm a simple guy.
And my final question for both of you, both the times, well, a lot of the times that I've seen both of you compete inside of the cage, you both were cleanly shaven. Now you're both rocking these beards, making me kind of jealous.
Well,
and are we going to see the same beard inside of the cage? Are you going to be rocking the beard inside of the cage? Is this the new look for Mitch?
Well, you have to, in order to beat your enemy, you have to know your enemy and become your enemy. So I looked at Brandon's beard and his humble mustache. So I decided to imitate that look and kind of really get to know what his psyche is like, so I could take him on.
I think you got the beard to cover up that butt chin, but I saw some, the last time we faced off, I saw some toilet paper hanging out on that thing, so I'm just playing. Beard game is not on my level, okay? As you see this is a real beard, all right? Been growing for like 5 months. Anyway.
I'd rather have a butt chin than a butt face.
All right. Hey, let me ask you this: you're gonna wear a Speedo in there? Because
it's a Sunga for the 100th time.
It's a Speedo, for Christ's sakes. Per inch that thing is too high. You should be fined $50.
You know, Brandon,
We're getting you a dude pair.
keep it respectful, or I'll triangle choke you and make you look at it up close.
That will never happen. That will never happen. That will never happen. But yeah, it's all good. It's funny.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a battle of the beards and a battle of two Spartacus Fighting League champions on the amateur circuit. They're doing it this time as professionals. 170-pound weight division welterweights, SFL 32. This is our main event, ladies and gentlemen. Brendan, the Janitor, Pennington, and Mitch, the Session Frog, Aguiar.
I was like me before the fun.